For the last week, Miss Eboni K Williams with the griot, and she's a lawyer as well, and some other things under her belt. But she interviewed the very wonderful and kind and wise and soft-spoken Iyanla Van Zandt. I never say her name right. I hope if I ever meet her, I have this nailed down. But she had her on her show recently, and they were speaking about dating and different types of men. And Miss Van Zandt asked her if she would date a bus driver. And frankly, the look on Ebony's face, she looked rather appalled that she would even ask her such a question. Almost as if, have you not seen my resume in a certain way? Thank you, Michelle. She said she's also a former housewife of New York. That explains even more for me, Michelle. But she had such a look at her face while she paused to answer this question, and she said, if he owned the bus. And Miss Van Zandt tried to give her some of that wisdom that I would hope that all of us would be able to get. Actually, some of the wisdom I wish that someone was giving some of these Instagram models and TikTok dancers, which was, hey, maybe he doesn't. And I'm paraphrasing. Maybe he doesn't own the bus. But how does he treat his mama? Is he a good man? Is he an honest man? So on and so forth. Which wasn't enough. She has gone down to double down on that statement Eboni K Williams has. The reason we're talking about this is because of the video that I put up in the group and on my page. I think I tagged Deon to it as well, where she went on to the Breakfast Club here just yesterday, I believe, and tripled down on it. And it so upset me, I said, we must talk about Eboni K Williams because I'm irritated. Deon, I will let you take it from here. And then folks, expect for me to yell a little bit at some point.
Well, I watched the Breakfast Club clip first that you sent me. I had seen like snippets of it, like 5 or 6 minutes of it. But the thing you sent me was the entirety of the Breakfast Club interview. And then I went back and watched the Eboni and Iyanla interview. And what really kind of stood out to me, not knowing Eboni K from anything. I've heard of Iyanla before. I've heard of the Breakfast Club, but I never heard of this Eboni Williams person. So I don't know anything about her other than those 2 interviews that I watched. But what really stood out to me, I should say, was her attitude towards the quote unquote average person. And I think what really gets conflated in the dating marketplace is what somebody brings to the table as far as a financial landing place where your finances, no one wants to be with somebody who's broke, right? Nobody, if you're making a certain amount of money, you don't want your partner to cause you to lose access to what you're accustomed to, right? I completely understand that. But what I think is lost in translation is that when you reach a certain level, the people on that level aren't necessarily looking for the exact same thing you are. And that's where the struggle comes in. Where your average man who drives a bus and treats his mama good and is a decent humankind person who doesn't have ambition to own an entire bus company, should that exclude him from a woman of Ebony's caliber? In her mind, yes. If you're not trying to move up to the next level, she has no use for you. And if she has no use for you, it doesn't matter how good of a man you're going to be. That's just not what she wants. Now, there'll come a point in time in her life, probably, me speculating, that she will learn, unfortunately too late, that not having a good partner based off his financial or her financial situation is kind of stupid, because in the long run, money is earned and burned just like that. So finding somebody who cares about you, who will be there for you if you get sick or hurt or injured, and that loves you for who you are as a human and not a potential earner, is the most important thing. And I hear it all the time. Modern dating is completely different than it was, say, 20, 30 years ago. I wasn't dating then, so I can't really speak to it. But I know for a fact that a lot of women go on first dates just to eat and then have no intentions of being with that guy. And a lot of men go on dates with women expecting to have sex, and then that's just the end of it. And so this battle that we're going back and forth with is who can score first. Can I get this free dinner or can I get this coochie before we part ways? And I'm 38. I'm single. I don't fucking know.
Look, I have a lot of problems with what she said during the initial interview, for a lot of different reasons, and we'll get into that. But the first thing I want to talk about is on the Breakfast Club. Look, if you're going to say it, stand by it. Don't get on the Breakfast Club because you want to hawk your book that you got propped up there. Most of the time, people got the book off to the side. She got the book almost covering one titty. It's so close to make sure it's in the shot. Because you want to hawk this book. Stand by it. If you are a hoe who only wants some man who has X amount of dollars, then fine. Stand by it. Don't get up here like you're a politician because then djenvy is calling your ass to the carpet. And I was very, very little disappointed in Charlamagne. I'm going to assume Charlamagne's closer to her than djenvy is because Charlamagne is more normally the main one trying to stir some shit up. Normally. I don't know. He's got this different take he took that on this particular interview. But stand by what you said. Don't start throwing me all these facts and figures and acting like you're worried about black people coming up in America and all these different things. And my mama, when she started with the my mama used to be and my mama worked her way up from here and then my mama opened up this and then she had a fleet of trucks. I thought she was getting a stump speech somewhere in Iowa getting ready to fucking run for the president of the United States. Get the fuck out of here. Your main point was if a man does not have X amount of dollars in his pocket, in his bank account, he can't come next to you. Even if he's a good man, even if he's a man who loves his mama. See, that's why I said some of these young girls need to get with some of these old heads so they can teach them how to pick a man. And one of the things the old heads would tell these young broads was, how does that man treat his mama? And if he has any sisters, how does that man treat his sisters? Because that will dictate to you how that man would treat you. But see, she can't hear that. Because the only thing she can hear, the only thing she can see is dollar signs. Stand by it. That is my biggest problem with any of these, and men can be it too, but we're talking about bitches right now. That's my main problem with these hoes out here, including Eboni K Williams. She might as well be one of these stupid ass 20-some-year-olds on IG that I see on the IG reels. I think any man that wants to be with me, he needs to make at least $300,000 to $400,000. Well, what is it that you have to offer? What are you gonna do? Well, nothing. Let me tell you something, Eboni K Williams, and any other woman out there that sees this video later on YouTube or wherever you find it. The higher the cost you want from that man, the higher the cost you gonna have to pay. You understand me? Ain't no man making six figures and high six figures. Ebony ain't even cute. So you best believe your skills you bring in the kitchen or the bedroom better be nice, son. You hear me, son? Nice. The bigger the wallet, the bigger your skill set better be. I know dudes who make that kind of bread. And you know what the one thing them dudes have in common? They don't have just one of you. So if you're looking for one who's going to be stuck with just one of you, you got another thing coming. You know why he doesn't? Because he has options. You know why he has options? Because he makes high six figures. Get your head out your ass, lady Eboni K Williams, and any other young girl who wants to speak like that. You better find an older woman to sit down like Miss Susie, sit on her knee and let her teach your ass something. Because you sound like a motherfucking fool who ain't worth anything more than what's between your legs. Pick the quarter up off the ground, put it back between your knees, read a book, and find a man who's going to treat you the way he treats his goddamn mama. You a silly hoe otherwise.
Wow. Now, normally I would be inclined to agree with you. Here's the only thing I'll say. Don't pick a man based on how he treats his mom. Okay, that how a man treats his mother has nothing to do with who he is as a person. You got to. Oh, let me finish. Let me finish. I do not have a good relationship with my mother. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I treat women poorly.
You are an anomaly.
Okay, so that is the point that I'm trying to make. There are good men out here who don't have good relationships with their mother or their sisters. The idea that you should base it, the picking of a man based off how he treats his mother and the women in his life is not necessarily a good idea, because he can lie to you just like he can lie to them or anybody else. So here's what I would say to Miss Eboni K Williams. If you're worried about finances, come and go, right? But quality has nothing to do with the amount of money in someone's bank account. Someone's ambition doesn't determine the type of person that they are. Some people are happy with the lives that they have. If it's being a bus driver, if it's working at Taco Bell, if it's being the CEO of a company. Some people don't need more in order to feel like they're more. To some people, having interpersonal relationships is more important than accumulating stuff. And I get that most people want to live a life of comfort. Most people don't want to struggle. I completely understand that. But as to your point of the higher the man's money is, the harder you're going to have to compete against the other women in that man's level. If you're making 6, 7, 8 figures, you are literally having the pick of the litter. I don't want to say every, because nothing's absolute, as you always say, but the majority of women would love to have a man who could give them financial security. But what comes with that financial security is that man having the ability to exercise his options. And the challenge becomes, can you secure that man to yourself and have him forget all the other options? Can you be the quality that he's looking for? Can you match what you are trying to find and that potential earner? And a lot of the times, these Instagram models and these women that chase after the bag, so to speak, don't realize that the man they want doesn't operate the same way that they think that man should. And I think that's where the huge disconnect comes, is that they have this picture of, if he's making X amount of dollars, he's going to be this type of man. And that if I can secure that, then my life's going to be peachy keen. And in reality, they don't know any men on this level. They don't know how these men operate. They don't know what these men think. They don't know the ins and outs of this man's personality. And so they think, oh, well, he's making X amount of dollars. If I can lock that up, then I'm golden. And I don't know if it's just the times that we're living in now, but it seems to me that when people hit a bump in the road, they tend to run, as opposed to back several years ago, where if there was a snag in the relationship, people would work through that. You know, a lot of divorces happen because, oh, I'm just not happy anymore. And it's like, well, that wasn't part of the vow. Happiness had nothing to do with the vow that you made.
First, before I get to the comments, I'm going to say this to Michelle Nagata. Michelle, looks like I'm going to have a little fun with you today. I'm about to tear you wide open for the whole world. I'm not in the mood for your bullshit. So,
here we go.
Triggered how? I would like for you to explain yourself. Second of all, she said none of what? She didn't say none of the stuff that I quoted her on from the Breakfast Club interview that I put up in the post. So go ahead and explain yourself. This shit I normally let you do when you pop shot from a distance, not gonna let you do it today. Not on this topic. So explain yourself. Let's see here. First thing out of her mouth. Didn't see the original interview. Get out of here. I don't even know why I read your comments. We're going to scroll through them. Facebook user says, she's that girl calling stripping, making money moves. Like, okay. Exactly. Another Michelle one. We'll skip through that one.
That was Ricky McClain that said that.
Jessica Lee Taylor said, sounds like her problem. Absolutely. I would agree with that. Going to scroll through another Michelle Nagata one. Roxy Perez says, although I don't agree with her stance and outlook, I would say that the flip side of this is how women's value tends to be tied to how attractive they are. I could be the best mom, most caring person, and have a successful career, but some people will never look past how I look. Unfortunately, some folks don't want to dig deeper, men and women alike. So, first thing I want to do is pause here. Michelle, you see what Roxy did there? That was an outstanding way to present your point of view. And guess what? Roxy and I don't always agree. But you know what? Roxy's comments always seem to get read. That might be because she's not always just trying to poke the bear all the time with pure fucking nonsense. Roxy,
can you put that comment up on the wall so I can see it? Roxy's? It's not in the...
Roxy's?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it says, Roxy, although I don't agree with her stance and outlook, I would say that the flip side of this is how women's value tends to be tied to how attractive they are. I could be the best mom, most caring person, and have a successful career, but some people will never look past how I look. Unfortunately, some folks don't want to dig deeper, men and women alike. And Roxy, I would completely agree with you. I got friends of mine, good friends of mine, who for the life of them, well, not for the life of them, but because of their own doing, cannot seem to find a good woman. The reason why is because they're looking for a particular type of woman. The one thing that seems to happen that people never, ever seem to understand, in my opinion, and Deon, you will have a different opinion, I know this for a fact because I'm going to go a little religious here, is because regardless of what you believe in, whether it be God, the universe, or whatever it is, whatever you are putting out, whatever energy you are giving, that is what you are going to receive. So a lot of times, Roxy, even if you are standing in front of a man who should be wanting you, if he's putting out the wrong type of energy, he will never be able to see you because he's not looking for the right things. Not in the least, not in the slightest. So a lot of times I find that to be whatever it is you think you like. There was once upon a time in my life where I was dating just nice girls, but I was still out here in these streets hanging out, having a good time. And I said, man, it'd be cool if I could just find a girl to date who could love sports, want to come out and hang out, have some drinks, watch the game. That way on Sundays or Saturday college basketball, I wouldn't be caught in the middle on, do I want to go here? Do I got to spend time with her? We could do it together. You know what happened? I found that girl, but that girl ended up being the girl who could outdrink every dude at the fucking bar, who would do shots of vodka before we would leave the house to go to the bar every fucking weekend to go watch games and do it all day, all night long, and then head back out to do it all night. Now, did I think that's what I wanted? Absolutely. Did the universe or whatever it is you want to believe in say, I got something for your ass? Absolutely. And I learned a very, 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 very good lesson, Roxy and Deon and anyone else that out there watching. You got to put the right energy out there. But I definitely agree with you. You can have all of the things that any good man will want out of a good woman, and all those other dudes will completely miss it. Deon, anything you want to touch on with that?
Well, for me, what it boils down to is, what are you looking for? You know, Eboni is looking for a certain caliber of man, right? And everybody's allowed to have their preference on what they deem they want in their lives, whether it be a financial or a baddie or whatever, right? At the end of the day, does the person that you end up choosing or vice versa ends up choosing you, do they match what you see yourself with? For Roxy said something really, really important is a women's value is tied to the way they look. Well, that's how men choose women. 9.5 out of 10 men will say, I picked her because I was initially attracted to her. And then when I got to know her, she checked off all these boxes that I have in my head based off childhood experiences and so on and so forth, right? For women, the flip side is that not necessarily, I've seen women with some of the ugliest dudes I know. Fine women, just absolutely gorgeous, could do way better than the man they have. But the reason they're with that man is because they love the way that he treated them. It wasn't necessarily a superficial, this man looks attractive. I don't know any dudes, and I know lots of men, I don't know any dudes who have settled with a woman they didn't deem attractive because she had all these other qualities. It's not even something that pops up on our radar. A man doesn't look at a woman and go, oh, I think she'll be a good mother to my children and she'll provide a stable home. His first thought is, yo, is she bad? Am I attracted to her? What's it going to be like when I eventually get with her? Now, a man who is more mature in his thought process will learn that just because she look good, everything that glitters ain't gold, right? We learn that men tend to learn that the hard way. Is that everything that glitters ain't gold. It's when you split in half because you married a woman that Turns out she didn't have your best interest at heart. And now you in divorce court talking about, man, I thought she loved me, blah, 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 blah. And the court system's taking all your money. It's a lesson men learn the hard way. So, as a 38 single bachelor, when I meet women, the things I look for are not necessarily their beauty. It's how kind are you on a day-to-day basis? If you're not a kind woman, you stand absolutely zero chance with me. I don't tolerate anybody who doesn't have kindness as their leading quality. To me, that is the most important thing. It's not whether you got a bunch of money or you're super attractive. It's, are you a kind, gentle woman?
And you could see from the get-go from her answer that she gave initially in the interview that she was conducting, she's not kind. And then you can see her again, double down on it again. And I love that djenvy kept bringing it up because I'm sitting there thinking about it too. You keep calling these people or their jobs, however she wanted to put it, because she kept flip-flopping, mediocre. And you just because you go to the Webster's dictionary and say this is the definition of something does not mean you are not belittling people or what they do for a living. You can't do it. And she continued to double, triple, quadruple down on it.
I think she did not exercise her point eloquently. Her idea is that she wanted to raise the standard of the average Black person in this country, that in order to raise the bar, so to speak, you have to have ownership and financial security, to which I completely understand her point. But the reverse of that is if a man doesn't want to own the company, if he's happy just driving the bus and he still treats you good, why are you throwing that away because he doesn't own the company? And I think that priority of the elevation to reach a certain status is a ridiculous notion in order to live your life, is that you don't have to own the company to be happy and to be successful. People conflate success with monetary value. And to me, that's a dumb way to look at success because you're always going to have to work, even if you are successful, in order to keep stacking those bills, so to speak. Whereas if you're comfortable and you enjoy the life that you live, you have a good family, you have a good support system, you're happy in your day-to-day, everyday walk around time, then that to me is truly a successful life.
You know, Deon, I know a lot of people in a lot of walks of life. And I don't walk around talking about it, but I do. I know a lot of fucking people, a lot of fucking bank accounts with big bank accounts. And there's one thing I would say. I do not know two people who are married, who are chasing after different goals, who stay together. I know a lot of couples where either the man is the chaser, the one who really wants to push up the ladder, and the wife is she's doing her thing. She's not doing nothing. She's doing her thing, but she's also working that support for him as well. And I know the opposite. Those couples tend. And then I know those couples who neither one of them are chasing the ladder. They're raising their kids. They're making their $50,000 a year. They're taking their vacations on their credit cards. Whatever they're doing, taking their what am I trying to say here? HELOC mortgages out to pay for things, to pay for those people I've seen stay together. I've never seen two alpha people, male and female, or female and female, stay together when they're chasing two different things. I've seen when they're both alphas and they're chasing after the same thing because they may own a company together. I've seen where that may work. But no, that's really not how the species on this planet works, whether you're a fucking bunch of chimpanzees or you're human beings.
I mean, I would agree with you. If you're not on the same page, of course, there's going to be strife and friction in the relationship. Again, I always say you should never get into a relationship based off someone's financial position. Like if that is even in your thought process when you're vetting someone, I don't think that you have just in my personal opinion, I could be wrong. I don't think someone's finances should qualify or disqualify them from a relationship. If you're dating someone and you truly enjoy spending time with them, what difference does it make what type of money they have? Now, I hear this said all the time that women will only take care of a man for a certain amount of time before that them spending money on a man dries up the vagina. I've heard that my entire life. Where if you flip that, a man will spend money on a woman to keep the vagina wet, right? I don't know how women think about this, but I would never be with a woman if the only reason she was with me is because I could provide her with a certain type of lifestyle. I would much rather be by myself and then just pay for whatever physical.
Let me give you an applause break, sir. Something else I'm going to say, but go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
I was going to say, I would never be with somebody just because of what I could bring to the table financially. That to me is one of the biggest turn offs. Is if you're really interested in this whole boss mentality, and I use air quotes for the people who will be listening on the podcast. To me, it's just a turn off. It says to me that that is more important than being a good person. And in my eyes, I don't know too many people who strive for the bag and chase work and financial success who have really good interpersonal skills. Because being an alpha means you have to, again, I'll repeat it so you can put your hand down. I don't know too many people. I didn't say I didn't know any people. I said I didn't know too many people who chase after a bag and have good interpersonal skills. There's a dynamic that if you're off working all the time, it's going to be hard to maintain that quality relationship that the other person is looking for. And I think that's where people butt heads.
I gave you the applause break because I was sitting here thinking about all the dudes that I know who have bank. And one in particular, not the only one. So I'll take... The dude drives a Maybach Mercedes-Benz SUV. They only make a handful of those. But if you watched him, if you didn't know that's what he got out of, when he walked into any building, you wouldn't know the dude had money. And I remember talking to him about this. Like, I've seen other cats who handle money differently where they always floss it. And he said he was taught something by his old man. This is what I talk about. Get on the old head's knee, man. Listen real close every once in a while. He said his father taught him when he was a boy growing up on a farm in Alabama. When you're around people who have money, have money. When you're not around people who don't have any money, don't have any money. And so, simply put, he and most people who are confident in themselves do not need to walk around flashing money, nor do they want people who are obsessing about their money and making choices to pick them because they have said money. So going back to what I said, you are better off finding someone of good character. And if you find something great in that box of cereal, awesome. If you don't, then make yourself some toast and have a hearty fucking breakfast because that's all you're going to fucking get.
If I could push the applause button right there, that was a great analogy. Have a hearty fucking.
Hey, you don't need to be able to push it. You know the guy who can. So, yeah, I saw you smirking and smiling over there like you was reading something. So read what you read over there.
No, it's Michelle Nagata says, sorry, I think your take is trash and you didn't pay attention to her explanation. It was smart, well-spoken, and honest. But yeah, she's just a hoe. And all your explanations and yelling doesn't change that what she said triggered you and you're putting your own feelings onto it. You aren't being objective at all. She says, I talk how I talk. I'm not going to change it to not offend you. If you're going to yell into the abyss, people are allowed to react. How dare someone come in with a fact?
First of all, you didn't have facts because you said I was projecting. And there's nothing for me to project. Everything I said to you, first of all, this is not the news, as I said 2 weeks ago. So anything I say on this show is based off facts that I saw that I'm giving you my opinion on said facts. I will also, because I do my homework, Michelle, go back and Deon would tell you, I do it sometimes up to the show is starting. I go back and I watch what I've already watched. I go back and I read what I've already read and I jot down my notes. If you've ever noticed, Michelle, because you watch the show and you seem to be the expert and not me, you will see me glance to this way. You see how I do that, Michelle? Because there's sometimes after I've read it and I try to memorize what I can, I want to go back and I want to check and make sure that what I wrote down is still accurate so that I am not just speaking nonsense. Do not tell me what I said is not what she said. If you would like, we can all have a watch party and we can sit down. Nothing gives me more pleasure
Join the
than
Patreon.
pointing out your faults. I love it. And normally I let it ride, but not today. Because what you wanted to do was to attack me. And what you've always done since the start of the show, which I think is kind of fun, is attack because you like to see this, that, and the other. And normally I just ignore you. But today I felt like I might as well dig in that ass. Now, if you can't handle getting back what you ask for every single Monday, that sounds like a you problem. Because as I said before, somehow you are the only one who seems to get this treatment all the time. Not Roxy, not Miss Susie, not I'm missing names here.
Jessica.
Not
Kathy.
Jessica, not Sandis, not no one else. So is it a me problem really? Or is it a you thing?
I also thought Danielle Marie came back with a nice comment. She said, I don't think he is, but I just wanted to tell you that it is hilarious and I totally want to work into a random conversation now about Sidney projecting. Chelsea had a good comment too. She said, I'm going to find me a homeless man. I'll be his home.
Hey, man.
Good luck with that one, Chelsea.
Hey, look, all I'm saying is she has the wrong take. And that is the wrong take that a lot of women, young women, are taking these days. And I've had these conversations. I hear these conversations. You can see them on IG all the time because these girls think it's cute. And I'll say it again. It's because nobody is sitting them down and saying, this is not the things that are important.
I think we have to also look at the fact that you kind of brought this up earlier, that the caliber of man that you're looking for, what are his options? Because any man who has options is going to exercise them. That's part of what being a man is. Now, is it rare that a man who has a ton of options won't exercise them? Yes. Not every single man will be out here just getting what he can get when he can get it. But the vast majority of 6, 7, 8-figure earners are going to have a side piece somehow, some way. I always tell women, if Beyonce can get cheated on by Jay-Z, what chance do you have with Joe Schmo from Kokomo? You really don't. And so your best bet is to, yes, get the best man that you can. But you have to understand that, especially now in 2023, back in the 50s and 60s, you could have a side piece, that lived a couple blocks away. And you'd have siblings that you didn't know about till the funeral. Nowadays, everything's on the internet, everything's on a camera phone, so you're going to know about it. How you choose to operate is how you choose to operate. There are good quality men out here that are completely overlooked because they don't have a bag. Now, if you want a man who's going to honor you and cherish you, there's a pretty good chance that he's not going to be on your financial level because that's just how the way of the world works. You watch the Fresh and Fit podcast, Kevin Samuels podcast, and all these other podcasts that talk about interrelationship dynamics. And they always talk about high earning men tend to not be faithful. I'm not a high earning man. I don't have 6 figures in the bank. So I can't really speak to that. But what I can tell you is that if a successful man who's worked hard to achieve a financial status in this world feels like I went out and earned all this money, can't nobody tell me nothing, what makes you think that you coming into his life is going to be able to somehow flip the switch, change his mind, and get him to recognize you as the only woman in the world? That whole thought process to me is ridiculous. If anything, you should be helping pick side chicks that you can get along with so that you don't have to deal with the heartbreak at the end of the day when you come to look through this man's phone because he, for whatever reason, because that's just the reality of the world. I'm not saying every man's like that, but a vast majority of them are.
Look, I know women who have some bread. And women who have some bread, are just like a lot of dudes who have some bread. They understand they have a lot of different options. They don't have to settle. They can move how they want to move for the most part. And a lot of times, though, Deon, I would say this. Unless you were the woman with that man helping him come up to reach those goals, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Because if you you have a better shot.
Well, here's the thing though. When a man elevates, right, and he gets new options,
all I say was you got a better shot.
It's in his nature to exit. This is a perfect analogy that they did on the Fresh and Fit podcast. I don't always agree with the way they say things, but what they say just tends to be more accurate. And basically, it was like this: women grow up in the candy store, right? From the time they get breasts and ass, 13, 14 years old, men are throwing sex at them for their entire lives, right? A man starts off with nothing and he has to build, right? He doesn't have access to the candy shop, right? And so when he gets to a certain level, he finally gets into the candy store and he can pick whatever piece of candy he wants. Now, the women in that candy store watch him eat all this candy and go, why are you doing that? Not realizing that he's been outside of the candy store the entire time, hoping to one day get in that candy store and find him a piece of candy that he really likes. And so you got to understand that if you're dealing with a man who hasn't had options and then all of a sudden he gets options, you can't be like, oh, how could you do this? I've helped you build all this. That's just the way the world has always worked. Men have had more than one woman. Monogamy is a newer tradition in the world where, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. There's open relationships, there's polyamory, there's all types of situations out there. If you're dealing with a high earning man, chances are you're not going to be the only one. And you have to find a way to either make peace with that or just keep going through that revolving door. Because truth be told, those guys, for whatever reason, don't feel the need to settle down until they're much, much older.
John, any other comments we want to touch on here before we move on?
I mean, you've got some of the women in the group upset.
Who else is upset? Susie
Myers says, Deon, it's kindness and her ability to pay for her own dinner. Yes, that is true.
I don't have anybody upset there. She's talking to you.
First dates, I don't get finessed out of my cash.
Miss Susie gets an applause break for that. Listen to the show. I think she's got a plethora of notes she's been keeping.
If you look at it on a practical level, it makes sense. If you're just now starting to get to know someone, why am I spending my money on the chance that you could eat my food and then leave me? Fuck out of here. I'm not an idiot. Even if I had the cash to spend to splurge, I'm not going to do that.
I've always paid for the first date. That'd make me an idiot.
It is if she don't plan on going on a second date.
You don't know that. Maybe I don't want to go on a second date. I've gone on dates where I was not happy doing. All the more reason
to keep all your money in your pocket.
No, I've been on dates where I knew halfway through the date they're like, this ain't. But we here. Let's go ahead and chill out.
I've been on dates where I'm like, yeah, I will never see this woman ever again in my life. But guess what? I didn't have to pay for her half of the bill.
So, nothing lost. I got you. All right. Any more comments, sir? Where someone's taking you to task?
Let's see here. Danielle Marie says, hold on. Let me see. Danae Turner says, fact is you made every woman listening feel like kicking your ass. She's talking to you, Sidney.
There's some women who agree with me, Danae.
Danielle says, please don't presume to speak for every woman in here. # Team Sid told the truth.
Thank you.
Michelle Nagata says, I guess only the ones who don't subscribe to misogyny. Now, again, what is misogyny? What does hating women have to do with anything, Michelle? That doesn't even make any sense.
None of this.
The idea that because a man has a certain standard and he wants to have his preferences, all of a sudden he hates all women is ridiculous. I cannot stand when women say, oh, you're misogynistic because you feel like you could have two women. Like, what is misogynistic about? How is that any different from you wanting a man who's over 6 feet tall and is in shape. How is that any different?
Yeah, here's what I love. Here's a show that we've done for 3 years now, whatever it's been. We've had the majority of our viewers have been women. We've done nothing but show love to them, and they've shown love back. There's been open communication. Anyone who has ever had anything derogatory to say about or out of bounds, however you want to call it, about women, you get you're X'd. Your comments don't make it to the wall. You're kicked out the group. You're not allowed to watch all of that. And now all of a sudden, I'm a misogynist. All of a sudden now, I've been just laying in waiting for Eboni K Williams just to say something to say, now I got you. Come on, Michelle. Be better than that. Have a take, don't suck, as Jim Rome would say. If you had a take and you didn't suck, I wouldn't jump your shit. But this again is Michelle always wanting to throw the fire, but never wanting any heat or smoke, as the kids say. So that's all this is, misogynist. Come on, man. Come on. Any other comments, sir? I'm letting you read them because I'm a little amped up and I can't scroll through them without.
Well, I only see the ones that are in the group. So if you can see something that I can't see.
Whatever you can see is good enough for me.
Ricky McLean says, I don't think Michelle could handle the heat. I think she gonna y'all stuck with me though. Ricky, you gotta type better if you're gonna.
He got fat thumbs, man. He can't peel an orange.
Jessica says, okay, Sidney, I know many couples that have different dreams, personal goals. They support each other. I think it's healthy to keep that sense of self in a relationship. Michelle says, bottom line, I think it's totally fair to expect you partner to grow and evolve with you financially, mentally, educationally. This is my own personal thing for everybody who's watching the show. When you type in comments, please proofread that shit. Y'all got me out here looking like I don't know how to read because y'all can't type.
How you like it?
I don't like
how
that.
You like it?
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like it. So please proofread your comments.
I be looking like the kid we all went to school with that had to read with his finger on the page.
I is good.
I is kind. I is smart. Even though I'm a misogynist, I want to thank all the ladies for jumping in and watching the show. I do.
No, that's crap, man. Women use that word way too much. Michelle, you are out of pocket for calling Sidney a misogynist because he's not. It's just that's just not accurate.
I talked about.
You might disagree with his point of view on how he received that woman's message and what he felt, but throwing that label around is ridiculous.
Hey man, some people just can't do enough for. I show my love for my wife for this show. I show love for my mother on this show. I show love for the women on this show. We talk about anything under the sun that you guys want to talk about, even if it's geared towards females more often than men. And you can't do enough for some folks.
I'm not going to get triggered by it, but it does. It really grinds my gears when I hear, "Oh, you don't like women because you have a different point of view." I'm like, no. What? Can we pump our brakes here? Let's have a legitimate conversation without throwing around these cancel words, as they call them, because calling a man a misogynist is a big fucking deal. To assume that a man hates women because he didn't agree with what a woman said on a podcast is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Or
because I didn't agree with what she said, because I don't agree with you. All right. Deon, what is your what the hell this week?
It's changed. My what the hell is up with calling a man misogynist? Like what the hell is that? Don't do that. That is to me, if the roles were reversed and women had consequences for those type of labels being put on there, it's just like labeling a woman a hoe because she dresses slutty, but she don't fuck nobody. It's like, why are you doing that? You don't have to do that. You can disagree with Sidney without labeling him a misogynist. To me, that term is up there with certain words where when I hear them, it makes me want to be like, ooh, you really don't know what you're doing. That's not healthy. That's not a good idea. And that triggered me. So just be careful of what you say to people and how you say it is important. Michelle, you watch the show. Sometimes you and I agree. Sometimes you and I disagree. But this is one of those times where I'm I'm specifically talking to you. That is not cool. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Well, I don't have a what the hell this week. I'm just going to say thank you to all the ladies and to all the men who watch the show each and every week. We do appreciate you. I'm going to make some changes for the show going forward, though. So thank you guys very much. Changes won't affect everyone, but they're coming. Have yourselves a good week, and God bless.